Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Take the Ring holiday live stream. This is my new dog, Walter. He decided to jump on my lap right as I got started. So let me know in the chat if you can hear this okay. Just got this dog. His name's Walter, and we got him from a shelter. And we think he's a half Yaza, half Schnauzer, maybe. I'm not sure, but he's adorable and super well behaved. And yeah, I love him. He's awesome. Our cat passed away earlier this year, and but then like February or March, and then we just got this guy. So anyway, I got a bunch of updates. I'm going to get to stuff. We got guests. We got all kinds of stuff. Mwah. All right, you got to go find your mom. Go do something. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? How's everybody doing? Anybody got any holiday plans? Any Twin Peaks news? Anything related? Anything you guys want to talk about? Throw it in the chat. I'll try to get to it. Again, haven't done a live stream or even a public video probably since the spring. So you guys are all probably wondering what this guy's doing on the internets. But I'm trying to get some friends on, just kind of celebrate holidays, end of the year. I had a pretty rough year. I don't know about anybody else. I mean, actually, I feel bad because it seems like everyone's had a rough couple of years, right? So, so first off, so I want to get people, the guests I'm having on, I'm trying to showcase what they've got going on. So we've got Scott Ryan from the Blue Rose magazine, and he's coming out with a new book on Fire Walk with Me. So he's going to talk about that. And then Cameron Cloutier, who just released the first act of his Twin Peaks fan film, Queen of Hearts, a longtime friend of the show. He's going to be on. And then the ladies from Damn Fine TV podcast, who are doing great work on Twin Peaks. They're in the middle of season 2. So they got a great Twin Peaks podcast going on. So we're going to have them on too. But first, so I have a new video coming out within the next few weeks. It's a follow-up to my first video that was called Talk About Judy, which explores the David Auerbach narrative theory of the return. This one, as you can see, will be, it's Talk About Judy Dreamers. And I'm exploring some of the more season 3 theories, kind of the more like meta dreamlike, who is the dreamer type stuff, obviously by the title, right? So it also includes Tim Kreider, this writer and cartoonist. His name's Tim Kreider. A year or two ago, he wrote a pretty awesome essay, and it's a theory about the dark side of Dale Cooper. So that I've kind of got that folded in there too. I'm really excited about this. I wrote the bulk of it probably 2 years ago, and it ended up taking a back seat to like the 3 Days in Twin Peaks and some of the documentary stuff that I was doing and interviews and things like that. So basically this has been on the shelf for a long time. And this summer I kind of pulled it out and dusted it off and rewrote a lot of it. And anyway, so I am super excited about that. I really wish I had a release date for you guys, but the last 3 or 4 videos I did all had deadlines, and I really stressed myself out. So my Christmas present to myself this year is to not have a deadline for this new video. So when it's done, it's done, but it's either going to be the end of December or beginning of January. So it's coming soon. It's almost done. And my patrons will get to see it about a week before I actually put it out. So patreon.com/takethering430. And, but I'll talk more about that a little later. All right. So, looking back on this year, on 2021, I released a video about Mary Reber and the Palmer House. That was in March. I'm really proud of that one. and I put a lot of work into digging up the history of the house and really tried to capture Mary's experience of David Lynch and the crew filming there. So check that out if you haven't. And it's the basically it's the bookend or companion piece or part two to the 3 days in Twin Peaks video, which is the big travel documentary, which I did in 2020. So this one came out in that one came out spring of 2020. The Palmer House video came out spring of 2021, and I'm really proud of it. I really like it. So might be the best video I ever did. So please go check that out. And then also this year, but that was March. That was the last public video that I put out. But in June, I was selected to present it was called It Is in Our House Now, the Twin Peaks The Return First International Online Conference, which took place in June. It was an amazing conference. There was presentations from all kinds of people, Twin Peaks aficionado, royalty, John Thorne, Laura's Ghost author and friend of the show, Courtney Stallings was there, Rob King, David Bushman, who wrote Conversations with Mark Frost, and he also co-wrote this book, Murder at Teal's Pond, which is, I just got it, haven't read it yet, but it is about the death of Hazel Irene Drew at the turn of the century that inspired Twin Peaks. So it's a real life, crime story, but it's 100 years old. So, and I don't know a whole lot about it. So I'm really excited to read this book. But at that conference, I debuted a new video called The Scarlet Woman that compares the Diane character to the real life artist Marjorie Cameron. And it explores the occult connections to the sex scenes in The Return and how that all fits in with Judy and the finale. So I don't think everything in Twin Peaks is related to the occult and mysticism, but those elements are certainly sprinkled throughout the whole thing. So I am going to be doing more of that. Well, number one, Scarlet Woman that video will be out publicly at some point, but not for a long time. Right now, you can only watch that on my Patreon. So, and again, I'll get to that more in a minute. So anyway, that was the conference and it was really cool. So that was a full 25-minute video that I did for the conference on the Scarlet Woman, and it is only available on my Patreon. So I've got my Patreon is up and running, and I want to thank all my patrons so far. I do exclusive video updates. I did an audio interview with Cheryl Lee that's on there. I'm unlocking Easter eggs and all this hidden stuff that I put in my Philip Jeffries video. There's all kinds of hidden David Bowie images hidden in flash frames and stuff in my Philip Jeffries video. So if you're a patron, every once in a while, I'll tell you where all that hidden stuff is. Also, and there's some extra stuff from the 3 days in Twin Peaks video. And right now it's the only place you can watch that Scarlet Woman video that I did in June. So I don't do tiers. All patrons that sign up for $1 a month get access to everything. So $1 a month, you get access to everything, exclusive content, patreon.com/takethering430. So, but the big announcement with my Patreon, I'm super pumped about this. Cartoonist and illustrator named Matt Smith. He's the creator of Barbarian Lord. He also works on Crickets and highlights children's magazines. He made this awesome print of original series in Fire Walk with Me Twin Peaks characters. Look, check this out. Can you see that? Yeah. So this is a 13x9 high quality print. It's got all your favorite characters on it. So he donated, he's a big fan of Take the Ring channel, and he donated a bunch of these prints to me to help get our Patreon account going. So starting in 2022, so starting in January, if you're a patron, I'm going to do a drawing once a month. And I think I've got 11 or 12 of those prints. So I have enough to go through the whole year. So basically, once a month, if you're a patron, I will do a random drawing of all my patrons and um, going to have a winner every month. So if you're a patron, if you're signed up on my Patreon, if you're a patron, $1 a month, every month you get a chance to win one of those prints. So I'm super excited about that. Thanks so much to Matt Smith. Super generous of him. He's a big supporter of Take the Ring. If you want to support him, visit matt-illustrations.com and there's links to his Etsy shop, and you can follow him on Twitter. He's at Barbarian Lord. At Barbarian Lord. Again, that's Matt Smith, great illustrator, cool dude. Let's see. So once again, if you're an active patron of at least $1 a month at the time of each drawing, you'll be eligible to win one of those prints. Patreon.com/takethering430. Okay, cool. That is all I got right now. Let me pull up some other stuff. So Scott Ryan's going to be on here in a little bit, and let's see if we got any comments or questions. I'll jump over here. Good, you can hear me. Evan Sotelo in the chat. Evan's got a picture in the Palmer House video. I don't know if anybody remembers, I did a call out for people that had visited the Palmer House to send me pictures. And I featured a ton of those in the video of people visiting the house and hanging out there and stuff. So Tony Wheelock says, just listen to you on Talking Backwards. Great two-parter on the final dossier. Thanks. That was so much fun. I actually have a plug for Talking Backwards right now. I have a whole list. Okay. I don't know if you guys heard that or not. Let's see if I can pull up Talking Backwards really quick. So I have a whole bunch of stuff that I could talk about. Talking Backwards, these dudes are awesome. I've been on there multiple times at this point. They're going to be on this show too. It just didn't work out this time. But I am going to change this screen here to, there we go. There we go. Talking Backwards. This is on Apple Podcasts. These guys are great guys. I was on their episode about a two-parter episode about the secret history of Twin Peaks by Mark Frost. I think it's a two-parter on the final dossier. And I also guested on their part 8 podcast, which that's up on the video version of that is up on Take the Ring channel. So you can watch us all talking about it. And that's got some good feedback. I really like those guys. So yeah, their podcast is great. That's actually how I found out about, well, that's not true. I found out about Damn Fine TV on Instagram, I think, but those guys started guesting on Damn Fine TV and vice versa. And so I just recorded an episode with them. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about what we talked about. So there'll be a new podcast from Talking Backwards that has me and Damn Fine TV on it, and I'll just leave it at that. So that'll be down the road. So Talking Backwards is super cool. It's 3 guys, and they have running gags. They have all kinds of stuff going on, and they're super funny. Tyler is hilarious. How it works is, if you haven't started, so this Patrick, he had seen everything. he had watched all of Twin Peaks, The Return and the original show and Fire Walk with Me and all that. So he had seen it all. Uh, Another guy, Dave, had seen most of it and was kind of working his way through, sort of, like a little bit ahead of the podcast. And then Tyler had never seen any Twin Peaks at all, and he was doing it as they recorded episodes. So they would watch an episode and they would all talk about it. So they all had, different perspectives on it. So Patrick had a while for it to kind of like percolate. He'd thought about it a lot. Dave had seen it all and had processed it, but it was kind of still new to the whole thing. And then Tyler was completely clean. So they had this like cool dynamic going on, and they're super funny, nice. Dave's real insightful. Tyler's super funny. Patrick's kind of the glue, I guess. Like he's kind of like, kind of holds it together and kind of steers the ship or whatever. But anyway, love those guys, and they'll be on the show here at some point, I'm pretty sure. Also, something else kind of cool. One of the organizers of the Twin Peaks online conference that I was at is a gentleman named Frank Bouleg, and he is an author, and he wrote some awesome stuff. And let's see here. Let's put that back up. But I got this journal of supernatural studies that he edited. This is really great. There's all kinds of, basically, like I said, the Scarlet Woman video that I did, I am writing about and researching and reading about the more like occult and mystical elements of Twin Peaks. So if you know anything about the Mark Frost books, so if you know like Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons and kind of the sex magic stuff that's hinted at, the some of the elements of the log video, or some of the things that the log lady says have kind of like occult ties to them. There's all different kinds of like mystical elements in Twin Peaks and supernatural elements, and obviously there's like the UFO, the nuclear bomb, the Trinity test, that all kind of was the birth of kind of modern science fiction and modern occultism, and it was an interesting point in time. And the UFO discussions, also quantum mechanics, quantum physics, the idea of multiple universes or parallel dimensions or whatever you want to talk about. Anyway, this is packed full of articles about all of that kind of stuff, like parallel universes, how time displacement works, especially with in The Return. This is a great article about transmedia storytelling. So it's kind of how Twin Peaks, even back in the day, you had it wasn't just a show, you had the books. So they had the spin-off books, and then they had the, Kyle MacLachlan got nominated or won a Grammy for the audiobook for the Diane tapes back in 1991. And then that was back then. And then in The Return, you had 2 Mark Frost books, and you had the Search for the Zone website. And I mean, in a weird way, like the soundtrack, because the music was so, that's just kind of my perspective. That's not really in this article, but the soundtrack, because the return has all those bands, it's kind of curated, and each episode kind of ends with a band, and they're all playing at the Roadhouse and all that stuff. So the music is definitely like more prominent and more diverse because there's so many bands, right? So anyway, there's an article about how all of those different elements, not just the show, kind of all feed into the mythology of the show. So there's stuff in the spin-off books back in the day, like Laura Palmer's Diary, for example, that kind of help you like clue into what's going on to the show. And The Return has the same thing with the Frost stuff, the side novels too. So that stuff's super interesting. Courtney Stallings has an article. Courtney Stallings wrote Laura's Ghost, which is a great book. I did an interview with her. You can check that out on my channel too. Um, she wrote an awesome piece about how Twin Peaks is kind of a subversive fairy tale, um, which Frank Bouleg has also explored in his book too. But anyway, it's good stuff. So that's been one of the best things that I've read all year is this. I think you can get this online. I don't know how interested people are in this kind of stuff, but I ate all of this up. There's an article about Jupiter and Saturn and how the two planets, that theme has also run from the old series to the new series. That's great stuff. Intersections of science and the supernatural in Twin Peaks, multiverse spaces of Twin Peaks, Twin Peaks as a fictional world and alternative Earth, which is kind of like he uses the Nine Inch Nails and as an example. If you know, like the band Nine Inch Nails is a real band. In the show in Twin Peaks, it was the Nine Inch Nails. Is this just a there's a lot of different angles that you can explore with that, right? So like, is that a joke? Are they just playing with us? Is this the Nine Inch Nails from an alternate dimension playing at the Roadhouse, which seems like, the Roadhouse always has some kind of like spiritual, supernatural stuff going on anyway, even back to the original show, right? So is the Nine Inch Nails like, the Black Lodge version of the Nine Inch Nails playing? So exploring stuff like that way into it. So anyway, hold on one second. You guys having fun? Anybody got any holiday stuff? I did want to say I am super bummed about the Wisteria or Unrecorded Night project falling apart. It's kind of one of Miko9 says 9 Inch Nails put out a limited run of merch using that's cool. I had no idea about that. Your video on Philip Jeffries was phenomenal. Wow Lynch Wow stuff. Yeah, he's awesome. I love Wow Lynch Wow. He's great. So yeah. Oh, but with Wisteria and Unrecorded Night falling apart, it's just kind of a drag because it's like there's literally nothing going on with Twin Peaks right now. So, or just David Lynch type stuff in general. So, one of the reasons I wanted to do this and just invite people on is like because people are still doing stuff. Books are coming out, people are making videos, people are doing podcasts. I mean, basically, and I get into this in my next video, is it's pretty much over, right? And if anybody is the quote unquote dreamer of Twin Peaks, it's kind of like it's all of us, and we got to like keep doing stuff and keep talking about it and keep the fandom alive, because it's like that's the only thing that's kind of like keeping it going, really, at this point. It seems like, I mean, if Wisteria or Unrecorded Night was actually going to happen, then we would all have stuff to talk about. And there was all these rumors like maybe it was going to tie into Twin Peaks, or like even if it didn't tie into Twin Peaks at all, just if it was going to be David Lynch by kind of like by default, it's all connected, right? So I mean, I see it that way. I think that all of David Lynch's work is connected in some way. So even if it wasn't Twin Peaks related, there would definitely be like parallels, and there might be some weird character names and different situations and scenarios that are crossing over and stuff. So I don't know. Super bummed that didn't happen. And I really wish that happened, but it's not. So Evan says, does anyone know what happened with Wisteria? So I don't know. Like I was trying to keep up with it, and it sounded like, to my understanding is like something was happening. Like Lynch had a contract, or Lynch had a deal with Netflix, I guess. We're not even sure that Wisteria was going to come out on Netflix. I don't think. But there was paperwork filed. There was it renewed his paperwork for Twin Peaks Productions. So like they had a production company. Maybe that was just to handle merch. Maybe that was just to do, no one really knows. This is all speculation. So don't listen to me. This is just what I remember. Supposedly there was studio spaces rented, or at least online. And then it just stopped. So I forget who it was. Someone was scouting out the studios and different things. So anyway, but I guess the rumor is that now it's all stopped, or at least whatever was happening is on hold indefinitely. So we'll see what happens. I don't know, but it'd have been really great to come on here at the end of the year and be like, hey, we're going to get new Lynch stuff in 2022. That'd be great, but that's not the case. So anyway, I'm going to, looks like our guest is here. First guest is here. So ladies and gentlemen, Scott Ryan from Blue Rose Magazine is here. Can you hear me?
Hello. I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yeah. Hell yeah. Great. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Scott Ryan from Blue Rose Magazine, and he is here to talk about his new book. And I got a sneak preview of it, and I'm super excited about it. And
that makes me nervous because you're really the first person to read it.
I have questions for you. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right. Got my questions popped up here just in case. But you want to just introduce yourself again real quick, and let's get right into the book. Let's start talking about it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm nervous because you're the first person to read it.
I lost audio. Lost audio from you. Hold on. Hold on. We lost the audio. We'll get it back. Okay. He's unmuted.
And that was the secret of all of the return. But I'm not going to repeat that again. I'm killing here with jokes, and this isn't.
You're on.
I mean, really.
For some reason,
kind of a rinky-dink show you've had me on where there's no sound. Oh, that
I can hear you now. I'm sorry.
I'm so proud to be here. I'm so excited.
My headphones just stopped working. So I'm like, I can't hear you. And then you're coming out of the computer speaker. I'm like, okay. So my headphones just turned off. All right.
Oh, so then everyone heard what I said about you.
Yeah. Everybody in the chat's like, hey, I can hear him, dude. All right. Okay.
Now I feel bad.
Yeah, let's try that again. Go for it.
Oh, I really said nothing. I was just being a complete jackass. I thought that was my role here. That's what I do best. Mostly what I said was you are the first person to read any part of the book, so that makes me nervous because you work on something for a year and then you put it out there and you're like, what? You mean people are going to read this? What?
Yeah. No, I'm super pumped. I did have a little intro written up also.
Oh, well, let's pretend I'm not here yet, because so far I've done nothing good.
Yeah, you're the author of many books, including Last Days of Letterman, Moonlighting and Oral History, 30-something at 30, and the forthcoming Fire Walk with Me, Your Laura Disappeared. And let's talk about the book. What's it all about?
So my favorite part of Twin Peaks is Fire Walk with Me, and it always has been. I mean, I know there are people who are big on the return. There are people who love the original series. But for me, the pinnacle of Twin Peaks is Fire Walk with Me. And even though I've published The Blue Rose and have done all kinds of books, as you've mentioned, and my company has done a lot of Twin Peaks books, I have never written a Twin Peaks book. And I was sort of waiting for Fire Walk with Me. I mean, that was what I wanted to do. My good friend Lindsay Hallam has a book out about Fire Walk with Me. I love her and I love her book. But she really covers the movie in detail. And I know this is crazy because my book is about Fire Walk with Me, but my book isn't really that much about the movie. It is more about my journey with the movie and putting it sort of in context, and then how the movie was made. But it's not so much about the plot based of the movie. That's pretty much set aside. I mean, there's a page and a half where I go through the plot in case someone hadn't seen it. But beyond that, I think people will be surprised at what this book is about. It's not, I think, what you think you're going to get. But what do you think? How much did you read? He just got it and he didn't get it all. But what were you able to read?
Yeah, I didn't get all of it, and to be honest, I skimmed it. So I probably read like maybe the first 3 or 4 pages of each chapter,
Okay.
just to get like a feel for what was going on. But yeah, that's what I wrote down, was like, it's super cool because it is like, it's really personal. So from your point of view. So, you know,
Yes.
like I don't want to give too much away. So I try to, try to keep this kind of toned down a little bit, but basically like, I think like the first chapter is just like, hey, this is my, experience with Fire Walk with Me, and like this is what I love about it. This is why it's so personal to me. And then like the next chapter is kind of like an oral history from the people that were more of the people that were involved. So that was cool. So fans of, say, Brad Duke's Reflections book, where you just have like comment after comment after comment, like producers and actors and people involved with the whole thing, giving kind of an oral history. I can't remember if this is in that chapter or the next chapter, but the Greg Feinberg, the producer interview. Yeah. So there's amazing stuff in there.
I know.
Super pumped about that. I think I read almost all of that because I was like way.
Well, I gotta say, and I say this in the book, but I have, it's right over there. The Fire Walk with Me poster has always been above my computer my entire life. And what I do, because I'm writing about Twin Peaks all the time, is I look over at how to spell Badalamenti, or am I spelling McLaughlin right? And I just look at my Fire Walk with Me poster, and that is my spell check. Well, one day I looked over, and I just saw produced by Greg Feinberg. And I'm like, why has no one interviewed him? And so I set out getting this interview with Greg. And he agreed, which is crazy. He's like a huge producer now. Yeah. He's done Big Little Lies and Deadwood, and he's doing a new HBO show right now called The White House Plumbers. And he's big time.
Yeah.
And I thought, he's not going to talk to me about producing Fire Walk with Me. And he did. And everything he told me, I've never heard before. I mean, had you ever heard what he said before?
No,
I hadn't either. And to me, I feel like it's breaking news. I think people are going to be really amazed at his story.
Yeah. And what's cool is like, he's not, well, that's what was shocking. I don't think I heard a word from him ever.
No.
I don't think I've heard him quoted anywhere. But he was involved in the original show too. So I don't want to give it away, but he kind of breaks down how those last days, how that was always kind of a gap in my mind, probably yours too. Like, so
definitely,
what was really happening like those last days of season 2, and how did Fire Walk with Me get greenlit? And it's only like, a paragraph or 2, but he explains like, this is what's going on. This is how it happened, whatever. I'm just like, oh, this is cool.
And I didn't even know that when I set up the interview. It's not like I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to set this up because I need to get to the bottom of this. I didn't expect him to tell me. And I think I'm going to make up a new verb on your show, which I'm going to love. I don't know how the listeners are going to think about this, but he hasn't been Sabrina-fied. Anyone like it?
Interesting. Sabrina.
He didn't say, I can't talk about this because he doesn't care what he talks about. He hasn't worked with Lynch since Firewalk with Me. No bad feelings. He has absolutely no bad feelings to David. He loves him. He just went on. He's bigger than Twin Peaks. Don't kill me. But I mean, he is a real Hollywood producer. He's going to talk about what he's going to talk about. There's
Yeah,
nobody to tell him, don't answer this question. And he
yeah.
answers them. So it's a good interview.
Yeah, you guys are in for a real treat with that one. Yeah, it's excellent. And what's funny because you're like, I'm flipping through the book and like interview with producer Greg Feinberg, and like I kind of did the same thing. I was like, who the hell is Greg Feinberg? I mean, because I mean
Right.
we talk to Mark Frost's interviews,
Right.
Angles, Harley Payton, like everybody knows the writers, everybody knows, they talk, right? They do
Right.
interviews, that whatever. And I never really, even, Deepak Nair, some of the other guys like Lost Highway, Mary Sweeney, other people that work with Lynch, and I'm like, why is this name sounds familiar, but I don't know anything about the guy.
Well, and
And
I
then you
thought it
get,
was weird. He's the only listed producer in Firewalk with Me. So that in itself said, well, wait a minute, this has to be someone. And he certainly was. And his stories are great. He was a really fun interview, and I'm proud of it. And that I actually did not have that scheduled that early in the book, but I moved it up because I'm like, I want that Twin Peaks person who's out there that thinks they've heard everything that they've ever heard. Nobody's going to tell me something I don't know. I wanted that interview to be early to say, well, this book was worth your money.
yeah, I agree. I kind of flipped out. So again, to the people watching, I was like, it's like, oh, okay, he's a producer. Like, okay, cool. And then I'm like, oh no, he's the guy. He's the guy on Fire Walk with Me. Like he knows everything about it. And like, okay, cool. This is going to be cool. And it's great. So I
Thank you.
was really excited about that. Um, and then what's almost just as cool, if not cooler, something I was thinking about doing, I mean, a long time ago with like one of my videos or something, but for like the last couple years, I'm like, I want somebody to go through the movie and the scripts and just point out the differences and do kind of like walk me through the script and walk me through the movie at the same time. And I can't remember if that's like the third or fourth chapter or wherever, but you do that and it's great.
Thank you. So this is the hardest thing I've ever done in any of my books. I have never worked on anything in my life. I mean, let's throw raising my stupid children in to this thing. As I worked on the Philip Jeffries section of the script to the screen, I mean, I worked on it maybe 6 to 8 months. That's how long it took me. I had to keep coming back and figuring it out. And I don't know, did you happen to read that section, or did you not read the Philip
Yeah.
Jeffries one?
Yeah. No,
So,
I mean,
like,
that's,
did it make sense to you? Because like it's gotten to the point that I don't even know if I wrote down words in English. I've been over that so many times, but it seriously is the hardest thing I've ever done.
yeah, it's not an easy, I kind of brush over that I did a video about Philip Jeffries, the character, and it's that like basically he represents all these different timelines because there's all these different versions. There's the version of the script, and then there's the version that actually ended up, and then there's the version, like you said, like the return is referencing the script. So for
Right.
people, the simplest way to explain it to people watching is Philip Jeffries in the Fire Walk with Me shows up out of nowhere in 1988, right? Right when yeah, in the movie.
See how
Yeah,
confusing it is? I mean, I had things written down all over my desk. It was crazy.
yeah,
In the movie, it's 1988.
yes, and then
Right.
it's but in the original script it's 1989, which is what made
Correct.
it to the missing pieces. So in
Right.
the
And
movie,
then in the return.
in the return, it's all basically in the original theatrical cut of Fire Walk with Me, it's 1988. In
Correct.
everything else, it's 1989.
Right.
And it's just, you know, it's crazy. But you walk in the original script, it's 1989. The only place it's 1988 is the final theatrical cut of Fire Walk with Me.
And I believe that I have solved why that happens, you know, and that was the hard part for me to write it out. I'm like, am I making sense of this? I had some theories and then they proved to be true, and I do screen captures to show. And you know, I'm a little concerned about this part of the book, and I make some jokes. That's the other thing I'd like to say about this. This is the funniest Twin Peaks book anyone's ever going to read. There are some really killer jokes in this book, but in there I say, you know, I'm going to lose my Bookhouse Boy patch because I am basically saying David Lynch made a mistake, and I think I have it proved that he made a mistake. Now you can, you know, that fanboy out there can come at me with, no, you don't understand, he's thinking on 3 levels. No, he made a mistake, and that mistake has consequences in the canon. And I feel like I've proved it in the book, which will maybe annoy people, but it's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. We still love David Lynch, but he messed up.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing that, you know, the other real big bullet point I had is that it's cool because your book is cool because it is personal. Like, you're funny, you make jokes, you have your own little observations. I think that people will relate to it because of that, because we all have that. So like, you may say something that like I disagree with, or I didn't notice, or I have a different experience with, but it's cool because we've all walked down the same path, I guess, but the experience is all different, is I guess what I'm saying. So it's cool that it's very personal, but you've also got interviews and facts and breaking things down too, for like nerdy geeks like me. Right. So, but yeah, that's speaking of personal, so Fire Walk with Me is my first experience with Twin Peaks was Fire Walk with Me, unfortunately.
So crazy.
Or fortunately, like now again, it's like I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. So like I had a cool teacher in high school, and I was into all these starting to get into cool movies. I was probably, you know, 14 or something. And she's like, oh, you need to check out this movie, Blue Velvet. It's totally like your thing. You're into like weird crap. So like, you'll like this. Go check out Blue Velvet. So I went and rented Blue Velvet. I had a friend that worked at this record store next door to the video store. And I was like, oh man, I saw this movie, Blue Velvet. It like blew my mind. Holy crap, this is great. And he was like, hey, did you ever watch Twin Peaks? I was like, oh, that TV show that got canceled like a couple of years ago. And I never saw it. Like, you know, so this is like 1994. I think Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me is 92. Got canceled in 91. The movie came out in 92. So this is like 94. I'm like, isn't that show? I remember. Yeah, whatever.
Right.
And he's like, oh, that's David Lynch. That's the guy that did Blue Velvet. I'm like, oh man, that guy made a TV show. I had no idea. Like, okay, cool. So I went and I ran back to the video store next door. And you remember they had the pilot, right? You used to be able to rent the pilot, and they didn't have the pilot, but they had Fire Walk with Me. So I ran back and I was like, they got the movie, but not the first episode of the show. Can I watch the movie? And he was like, oh yeah, that's cool. You'll love it. That's fine. Go ahead. So I just rented it. So, you know,
and are you 14?
Yeah. 14,
oh my
15.
Gosh, that is crazy.
It freaked me out. Totally like, cause Blue Velvet's crazy.
Right.
Definitely crazy, like heavy stuff. Right. And weird, but Fire Walk with Me, like that's when he starts getting into the dreams and the red room, and like none of that made any sense to me. The only thing that made sense to me was Laura's story. So Jeffries and Chet Desmond and the red room and Cooper, I'm like, isn't Kyle MacLachlan like the star of this show? And he's like not even in this movie. Right. I'm like, he's in this movie like for 10 minutes. Like, what the hell is going on? But anyway, the Laura thing totally made sense. And I'm glad that I watched it that way first, just because it just like lit a no pun intended, lit a fire in my brain. It was just like, I got to see the show. I want everything. So I went out and bought the VHS, like the box set that came out that year, and I watched all. So like Twin Peaks fan forever. It was spoiled forever because I watched the. I knew who killed Laura Palmer like right out of the gate, right? But it also made me a fan for life. So anyway, I'm gonna let you talk, I swear. But that's what's cool about it, because that movie's personal to me too. Depending on when that movie hits you in your Twin Peaks journey, you know, it's super personal to a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons. And I think that's your book has your personal journey and some cool nerdy stuff that no one's ever seen before too.
Well, and that was sort of what I've been saying. Like, this book is very serious, a deep dive. It's also ridiculous. It's hilarious, just like Fire Walk with Me. I mean, that's a good description of what that movie is. And I kind of wanted my book to be all over the place. And every chapter is completely different. And I didn't want it to be something that you think you're getting into. Again, you want that book? Go buy Lindsay Hallam's book. It's amazing. I love her book. But that isn't really me. And that isn't also how I view Twin Peaks anyway. Like, I don't really care who Philip Jeffries is. Like, it's not that I don't, but you know what I mean? Like, that isn't what draws me to Twin Peaks. Yeah. It's more the world and the music and how they did it and the art. And that's what this book's more about.
So let's talk real quick. What is Laura Palmer? I forget sorry, I don't have it in front of me. The intro. Let's talk about Laura Palmer and Cheryl Lee and what all that means to you. And I don't know. I'm sure that's towards the end of the book. I didn't read anything really about that. I read the intro obviously kind of sets that up, but I mean, for me, like it's really all about Laura, or like if there's a how would you explain it? Like an emotional core to Twin Peaks. It's about your experience with Laura, like who she is, what she went through, how you process all of that.
Right.
To me, and I assume it is to you too. So if you want to maybe, because Courtney Stallings' book is great. What are you bringing to? What do you think about Laura, and what are you bringing to the Laura conversation in the book, the part of this book that I haven't read yet?
You can't imagine what a question that is. I mean, on one hand, I'm just not going to tell you.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
You know, chapter 10 is called The Angel That's Meant to Save You, or whatever that line is. And in that, and then that's followed by chapter 11, which is It's Just Cheryl Lee Now. And that is my new interview with Cheryl Lee. So the back part of the book is where I feel like the book is rolling. You're right. Like I set up in the beginning about what happened to me when I saw that performance on the screen. But it was too early to get into it in the beginning. So come back to it at the end. And, you know, it's written down and it's out and it's going to go out there to the world. And I'm going to live with it being out there to the world. But am I getting into it now? The hell I am. I will say I've never been sexually abused. And I don't want to say attraction because that becomes the wrong word, but that's what I mean, but not physical. But my feelings for Laura had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with something else. But she really did save me at my lowest point. And to me, it wasn't Laura Palmer that did that. It was Cheryl Lee, because I'm an artist at heart. And I knew I never thought that Laura Palmer was real. I always knew that was Cheryl Lee crying those tears under that bush. And when she says, stay away from me, with all that, there was no part of me that thought Laura Palmer was real. It was Cheryl Lee that captured me. And for an artist to give that to their art has been something that has haunted me my whole life. And the reason the book is called Your Laura Disappeared, and by the way, I just realized I never put it in the book. This is not in the book why I called the book Your Laura Disappeared, which is kind of funny, but I'm okay with it. That's very Lynchian of me, isn't it? I just now realized I never really come back around to, but I think it's implied. But basically, I met Cheryl Lee in real life, and crazily, I would never say that we were friends, but she knows my name. We actually texted back and forth today. That doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. And as that happened, that Laura for me has disappeared so much that it's hard for me to even see Laura Palmer now. Like, I just see my friend Cheryl, and I know what Cheryl gave of herself and how she carried that with her entire life for all of us. You know, I don't know why Firewalk with Me stuck with you, but you even said, well, it was Laura's story that you got, but it was because of what Cheryl gave of herself. And that is incredible to me. I want to be that artist, you know. I'm not, and I don't think any of us but her are. Like, I think she's honestly the only one. And so that's a crappy answer just because I can't talk about it, but I do emote a lot of it in that chapter. It's definitely the most emotional writing, which is going to be crazy because the book is so funny, and then out of nowhere, I have no idea how a reviewer who doesn't know what Twin Peaks is about would even understand this book, because it's like all over the place.
Yeah.
But you know, it is personal.
Yeah, no, that's great. So speaking of Cheryl, and I guess I'll just, people watching, if you get a chance to go to a convention or go to any of these events to see her and meet her, she's just like, she's nice and gracious and kind and cool and all of that stuff. And yeah, she's awesome person, super nice. Oh, so what are you doing this weekend?
Well, there is a Cheryl Lee event in London, Ohio. Come out. You can meet Cheryl. They're showing Firewalk with Me and doing some Christmas stuff. And, you know, I know it's a scary time to go, and we're all going to wear masks, and we're going to be respectful because that's what we want. But to have that moment with Cheryl is worth everything. I've been lucky enough to go with Cheryl to a bunch of these events, and I've watched her with people, and what she gives to people is not what Kyle MacLachlan will ever have to give to any fan ever, because Cooper is not Laura. And that is a big difference. Like, you watch it, you know, because I've been to these things where other actors have to meet, and, you know, Dana Ashbrook might have to say, go long with the football or something. I don't know. But, you know, he doesn't have to take you in and hug you and make you feel better because you've used this character that she created to get through your darkest moments of your life. And Cheryl will take that time. And it's just incredible to me. So if you haven't met her, and it took me 25 years to meet her, and luckily I did, which is crazy. And again, I'm not by any means saying that we're like best friends or anything like that. We are not. But she does know my name, and that's crazy. And she did give me a blurb for the back of the book, which I'll be debuting the back cover probably this weekend, that has a blurb from Angelo Badalamenti and Cheryl Lee, which are my two heroes of Twin Peaks. So
yeah. So did you got a blurb from Angelo for the book?
I did. Angelo read, I have a whole chapter about the music, and Angelo was going to give me an interview, but then he he didn't really want to, and he was kind of going back and forth. And I sent him what I wrote, and he said, "No one has understood my music as good as you. I don't deserve this, but you've got it." And he fact checked a couple things for me, but I didn't get the interview. But in the end, it was okay because I made him feel good about his music, and that's enough. And he gave me a blurb that said, I should know it, but I don't. I'm not. You'll see it on Twitter. Go to Blue Rose Mag 1, and I'm going to be putting him up this week.
Oh yeah, let's I'm gonna pull up. Sorry, I'm not.
So while you're looking, I'm going to tell people my pitch about Firewalk with Me book. Okay, here's the thing.
Pitch it.
You've got to go to the Blue Rose magazine.
This is it.
Order. There you go. Or click on Firewalk with Me. Your Laura disappeared. That's it. You want to order this book from us because I'm going to print it in color, and I'm only going to print what we can pre-order, because the book has full color pages and it's beautiful. Well, my distributor doesn't want that because they don't want to pay for all those things. So I said, great, I'm going to give you a black and white version. So if you buy this book from Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever you go in the world, you're going to get a black and white, and it's going to be the same cost. If you buy it from me, it's going to be full color on premium paper, because I want my book to look as good as Laura's Ghost or the Moonlighting book. So we need you to pre-order so we can afford to print these, and then you're going to have a color copy for the same price that you could get a crappy print on demand from Amazon that's going to go out there. And it's only going to work if you guys pre-order. This is what happened with the art issue. Pre-orders were low, so we could only order so many, and then we only have 100 left, and you're not going to get an art issue now. And people are going to be like, what happened? Like, it's really hard to print this stuff on high quality, which is what I like. If you've seen our books, they're high quality paper and all that stuff. So you want to pre-order this book, and I'm placing that order probably the second week of January. So we're all going to get the book in March. The book comes out in May, but when I fill this order, I'm doing it. So after January, I'm hiking the price of this book probably to twice the cost, because now you don't help me. And now I need help to raise the money. Once I've did it, that's how many books there's going to be for life. And the rest of them are going to be print on demand, black and white. Do yourself a favor. The book is going to be beautiful.
Yeah. I was going to... Yeah.
Like, this is my Moonlighting book. And you can see, like, I do full page pictures in color, and this paper's great. And that's how the Firewalk with Me book is going to be. But only if you buy it from the Blue Rose Mag or FayettevilleMafiaPress.com.
Yeah. So I had Fayetteville pulled up, but anyway, this is BlueRoseMag.com. Yeah. And I had all of that written down. I was going to mention that as well too. This is anybody that's Laura's Ghost or Conversations with Mark Frost. I mean, these are, so I had the PDF, but the PDF that he sent me, these are full color pages, high quality. The formatting is great. The typeset's great. Like, anybody that's read Conversations with Mark Frost or Laura's Ghost or Women of Lynch. Sorry, I haven't read Moonlighting. I never watched that show.
I know. It's outside, but I like to do more than just Twin Peaks. So that I'm out there in the different things.
Letterman too. Letterman's great. I'm a big fan of Letterman. So anyway, and
then I got to pitch David Bushman's book, or he'll quit the company. This is Murder at Teal's Pond. It's the Hazel Drew story. The Blue Rose has 20 of these to sell. It's the same book you're going to get at Amazon, but it's just we're buying them directly from David Bushman. This is actually not a Fayetteville Mafia Press book, but Mark Frost did the forward. I have nothing to do with this book. I'm just helping my buddy David. Go to Blue Rose Mag and support a small business. It helps us. So those are my pitches. Look, I got it done by 8:30.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. I love it. I love it, man. I really appreciate it. By the way, everybody, this was Scott's idea. Um, got me thinking about having a live stream and a bunch of people on and just see what, because I don't normally do this. If you follow my channel at all, I post like one video every 6 months and maybe do a live stream like once in between. So anyway, yeah, this was Scott's idea and I appreciate it. And go pre-order the book. And I really appreciate it, man.
No, I appreciate all you've done for us. You've always supported the books. And when we're a small business, David Bushman and I are trying to get this publishing company off the ground, and we're fighting Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and it is not easy. We are doing this out of our home, but we want there to be David Lynch books and books about movies and TV. So support us. It makes a difference.
Awesome, man.
And thanks for the
Appreciate
kind
it.
words about the book. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. I wish I really could have sat down and done the whole thing, but basically I skimmed it and hit some good chunks. I'm like, yeah, this is good stuff. So
Thank you very much.
yeah, man. Awesome. Well, take care. I don't know. I wish I could make it to Ohio this weekend. I'm not going to, but
Well, though I'm working on some events for 2022, so once I can announce them, I will. But we've got some big things coming.
Yeah, keep me in the loop because we're Midwest people, so
All right.
Yeah, maybe I'll see you in Lexington in March if you go to that. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right, bud.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Yeah, no problem. Take care, bud. All right, everybody. So next guest is on deck. Adding him right now. I'd like to welcome Cameron Cloutier. How's it going, my friend?
I came this close. Yeah, I can hear you. I came this close to being on camera with Scott Ryan. This close.
Well, I got a bunch of people, so because I wanted to do something with you, and then it just kind of snowballed and turned into this thing. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, because I actually had a couple questions for Scott.
Oh well, I'll next time I'll have a big party.
Yeah,
I'm not really good. See, you do this all the time. I do this like once a year, so I'm not good at like changing screens and talking to different people. I'm like, no, I'm gonna have one guy here. I'm gonna have someone else here. I'm gonna have someone else here, and then we'll just kind of.
I understand. I'm not even used to seeing my head this big on screen, so this is frightening to me. So,
do you want me to?
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is what I'm used to right here.
Okay, let's do that.
All right. Okay.
See, I'm always used to recording, but anyway. So for people that don't know, Cameron just dropped the first act of the long-awaited and hard-fought for Queen of Hearts Twin Peaks fan film, which is great. So I had a bunch of stuff written down here, but I'm just going to wing it. So basically, I started my channel a few years ago, Cameron's Obnoxious and Anonymous channel. He was one of the first people to have me on, have me around, support this channel. And I didn't know anything about Queen of Hearts, and I just kind of learned about that. I believe at that point the money had already been raised.
Oh, I met you a year after.
Yes, right. So like it was already rolling. So I heard about all of this stuff after the fact, and been following it.
My channel is so strange because like around 2017, I started bringing on like new and upcoming YouTubers that were talking about Twin Peaks. Not Pete Peppers and not Wow Lynch. Wow, they had their own thing going on, but new people, that just had like maybe 100 subs, or whatever. I would have them on, get people to, get to know their personalities, and then they would sub to their channels. And then, so I invited you on because I really liked your stuff. And now you're like 20,000 subs ahead of me. So, so it's all because you're awesome content. You don't have a bunch of babbling videos. You actually like write and, edit things together and stuff like that. So
yeah, well, I don't have 20,000 subs, but whatever. I appreciate that. But yeah, so you're a early supporter of my show, and I've been following. Oh, I just at the beginning of the video, I was talking about how my next video essay, the talk about Judy video,
Right.
was written a couple years ago. I don't know if you remember that, but like it was over Christmas break, like 2 years ago, and I was in Washington D.C. and I jumped on your show and did some live chats, and
We did like 3.
so yeah,
Or
we
9.
did 3.
It was like 9 hours of material.
Yeah. So if anybody, that's on his channel and on I've got a playlist with saved. If anybody wants to hear me and Cameron talk for 10 and a half hours about Twin Peaks, like it's
And
good stuff.
the funny thing about it is I don't even think we've really scratched the surface of what we really, I mean, because I could talk, I'm not kidding you, I could talk a week straight about Twin Peaks or
Oh,
David
yeah.
Lynch material and still feel like I didn't uncover much of anything.
Right.
And it's funny because you mentioned Act 1 dropped. Well, Queen of Hearts was always envisioned to be a film, right? One film. And so we were gonna have it come out, I believe, in the summer of 2020. And then obviously the pandemic happened. So I thought, okay, maybe it'll be the fall of 2020. Well, obviously the pandemic kept going. So I thought, okay, I'll just say 2021 and we'll be on the safe side. Well, now it's December of 2021 and we still have, I think, like 6 or 7 like big effects to do and work on. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to get this thing done by this month with Christmas and Thanksgiving and everything like that. And I thought, I cannot say another 2022, like this would be the most ridiculous thing ever. And I had a few people, and Andrew Grievous, of course, who runs the 25 years later, soon to be horror obsessive, sports obsessive, all those things. He contacted me and said, you really should maybe think about splitting it up. And I said, now, as somebody who read the script, you read the script. My argument against that was, well, the film builds, and to cut it short. And I thought maybe to do it like Kill Bill and just cut it in half. Right. And then people were like, no, I just want the whole thing. Well, then I kind of cut the first like 24 minutes and just kind of sent that out as a test. Just, just see what people think. Well, people responded so favorably to that I thought, well, maybe this would work split up into 5 acts. And then after the 5th act is dropped, we'll drop the whole film anyway, because by that time, all the effects will be done and that type of thing. But at least I will meet a 2021 release date. So we dropped the first act, and Act 2 is probably going to drop next week. And then we'll just proceed like that. But Act 1 right now has gotten about, I know it's not a lot, but 4,300 views, 300, comments, 300 thumbs up, that type of thing. It's got an 92% approval rating on YouTube, which is very hard to do, especially when it comes to Twin Peaks, David Lynch material, because people take it so personally, right? And I honestly didn't know how people were going to react to it. And surprisingly, people really have bought into this, which is always my intention. That's all, the creator's thing is, I really hope people buy into this. Well, thank God so far they have. So
yeah, it's awesome. I
think I sent you the test. Like 20 minutes, and you kind of responded, but I didn't really pick your brain about it. You were just like, that's cool. So
it kind of came at, I wasn't expecting it. Again, I was expecting the long.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, he's going to, probably Christmas or in a couple weeks, he's going to drop the whole thing. And then, then we can do an interview and we can do,
right.
So we'll probably still do that. I'll probably sit down and have a solid one-on-one with you that I can like record it and then edit it. And I can go back and I can show clips.
I think it's hard to discuss the whole thing as a whole until you see the whole thing.
Right. So
I know you've read the script, so know what the whole thing is. But I just have to ask you, I mean, since you've seen the first act now, did it play differently to you than reading it? I know you read the script a long time ago, but did it play differently to you than what you remember reading? Or did it go like, no, this is... Did it surprise you any how it played out? Because a lot of people were like, I cannot believe that, one, you're not David Lynch, you're not Mark Frost, and yet I feel like I'm watching Twin Peaks.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of a double-edged sword because the script was solid. So like it that's it it sounds crappy to say like no, like it's pretty much what the script was, but that's like it's a testament to how good the script was and not like I'm disappointed with the final thing. I'm like the script, the dialogue, the context, the flow, the story, all of that, like basically what you've been saying all along. Like it's not trying to mimic David Lynch, but at the same time, it's totally Twin Peaks. Like the characters are definitely Twin Peaks characters, and I know that you wanted people to feel like you were watching Twin Peaks, and like that's what it feels like, and that's what I got from the script. So
I wanted season 2, episode 23, just to feel like you just you're seeing a missing episode.
Yeah, and that's for people that haven't seen it. So actually, I can pull those. I've got those tabs. I'll hold on a second. No, I got I have your, because you started a new channel.
Yes.
So you guys need to search for.
Just type in Queen of Hearts Act 1. It should come up on the Annie Blackburn channel.
Yep. So it's the Annie Blackburn channel, and so that's where you can find it. And then his regular channel is Obnoxious and Anonymous, which I think
if you've never seen my channel, you've at least heard of my channel. Let's just say, if you're a Twin Peaks fan,
right?
The Reddit threads are a buzz saying like every time I look for Twin Peaks content, his channel comes up. They're all irritated, mad. So
yeah, well,
and then I took all our Wisteria videos because I was so sad. I heard what you were talking about. I was so disappointed, so sad that it got put on, permanent hiatus for a while, at least, that I said, I don't want 45 videos taking up my channel. So I just cut them all together into one 8-hour long video and had it stream live one day. And people were flipping out like, I thought this was old news. It's like, yes, it is old news. Everything's cut together now in one big long video.
Right. It is kind of cool. Like it felt like what was the Terry Gilliam movie, the documentary Last Man of La Mancha. Lost in La Mancha. Yeah. So it's kind of like if you guys want to watch the rumor mill build and then fall apart of a potential Lynch project, it's like,
you literally
like watching the documentary fall apart.
Yeah, it's like watching the evolution of just people getting their hopes destroyed as it goes on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, baby.
And we had so many great conversations about what it could be, and ultimately, the funny thing is that until I think it was just like the last week or two where something was actually confirmed that something was happening. I think it was Peter Deming who came out and said we were in pre-production and we stopped. So it was like, finally, somebody actually said it was we weren't crazy.
Right. We're talking for 2 hours a night for the last 18 weeks about the show.
Hey, you know what? I had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And it's almost like, all my season 3 videos that we were doing at the time. Like if you go back and watch those, I don't even know what the hell we were talking about. We're so far off from what anything's happening. But it didn't really matter because to me, I always felt like those videos that I did were like, you do like these amazing essay videos that are like, you think about it, you craft it. And my videos, to me, for the most part, are like diary entries. This is how I feel about Twin Peaks today, right at this moment. Okay, next week I might feel different, but right now this is how I feel. And so, like, yes, in that moment, that is what I thought was happening in season 3. I was totally wrong, but as a diary entry, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, and it's great. I thought that it was interesting. Again, same kind of like I skimmed through it, the mega cut. The cut of all your videos, I kind of like jumped through it and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Man, I was so hyped for that video, and it's like, it is such a downer. I didn't mean to start my video with like, hey, it's the end of the year and we're not getting any David Lynch stuff next year.
But you know,
whatever.
you make a great point that the fans really kind of have to continue this,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm so happy that for the most part it seems like Queen of Hearts has gone over so well. One, people have been waiting forever for this thing. My wife has been waiting forever for this thing. She's so done. She's like, can you please make a movie that you can make money on, please? Because like we can't make any money on this thing, you know?
Right.
But at the same time, though, I really wanted, and this is not a knock against season 3 at all, because I love season 3. But I really wanted to kind of take us back to that time when you were talking about when you were 14 watching Fire Walk with Me. I was 14 when the original series was on. I was 15 when it went off the air, and I was 16 when Fire Walk with Me came out. I really wanted to kind of go back to that, you know, because people, you know, when Force Awakens came out, there were so many people going, "Oh my God, I feel like a kid again," right?
Yeah.
And that's true. That's true, right? But Twin Peaks was my Star Wars because I was still a little kid when Star Wars came out, and I love Star Wars. But Twin Peaks was the first thing that kind of made me go, wow, look what you can do with cinema. Yes, I'd seen Blue Velvet and I'd seen a lot of Lynch's stuff, but like Twin Peaks was every week. It was every Thursday, then Saturday, and then Thursday again, whatever. But it was such a big part of my life. And 14, it's such a, you know, a prominent year that you just take in everything. And Twin Peaks, you know, I understand it's you know, it's got so many things going on. It's comedy, it's mystery, it's surreal, it's horror, blah, blah, blah. But to me, and again, I know people are huge fans, Lost Highway and Inland Empire and all that stuff. But to me, my favorite David Lynch, ultimately, even though I think The Straight Story might be his best film, my favorite Lynch is 86 to 92. I think Blue Velvet, Wild at Heart, Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me, you know, maybe not on the air, but is the culmination of what Lynch is doing, of what I think that the reason why he was so successful with those things, because yes, people love mysteries and that type of thing. It's funny that looking back at Blue Velvet feels more like a stage play now compared to like his later films, right? It's so classically structured and beautifully written.
Yeah.
But the reason why Blue Velvet, Twin Peaks, and Wild at Heart hit me so hard when I was 14 is because all three of them are coming of age films. All of them. Jeffrey growing up, Agent Cooper maturing through, you know, the town. A lot of other characters, obviously. Sailor coming to his realization that he loves Lula. They're all about, at its core, they're coming of age stories, which hits you like a thunderbolt when you're 14 and 15 years old, because
when you're actually coming of age.
Right. Exactly. Right. And so like, I know people talk about, oh, Frank Booth and all the stuff with Blue Velvet. Blue Velvet to me is a lot of things, but it's about what it feels like to walk down a sidewalk of your neighborhood, you know, with the girl you're talking to. It's about knocking on your girlfriend's door, and like her dad answers the door. It's or you know, like so much of Twin Peaks, like the pilot, it's all about people going to visit their relatives at the gas station, or Bobby going to, Mike going to Donna's door and knocking on the door, and Will Hayward, oh, Donna, you know, Donna's not home. Have you seen her? It's the mixture of teenage life, coming of age story, mystery, horror, everything coming together. It's everything you want when you're 14 years old. And so my idea for Queen of Hearts, which again was initially conceived around December, January of 92, 93, which is why I feel like it feels so entwined with Twin Peaks, because it was thought of around at that time. That it just feels like it's part of the, and just one quick thing I sort of want to say, I am not trying to rewrite David Lynch. I'm not trying to rewrite Mark Frost. Queen of Hearts to me is a giant, because I made it after season 3, and I made it after the Mark Frost books. And I am somebody who takes everything as canon, even if the dates are wrong. You know, I take things as canon. So in a way, Queen of Hearts, which was originally supposed to be kind of a standalone story, and it is that still, it also will work for the Twin Peaks fanatic out there as a giant missing piece of the whole saga. It will combine so many things of the whole canon together.
Yeah.
You've written scripts, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So it feels like I just want to reemphasize that too. Like, it definitely feels like, you know, the 90s Twin Peaks. Like, it feels like a continuation of the TV show. And but that being said, like, there's elements of Fire Walk with Me and The Return written into it. So it's kind of cool. Like, speaking of all the parallel universes and different time, playing with time and different stuff like that, like, it feels good. Like, I don't know how to explain it the simplest way. Like, it's out of time and place, but feels right. You know
And
what I
you
mean? Like, it feels like if it definitely feels like you wrote it or made it back then, but it also has elements of what the, you know, the return and the new stuff. And
there is a scene that happens towards the end of Act 1 with Annie
oh yeah,
that
yeah.
that definitely definitely tilts towards what is going to happen in season 3. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people were kind of surprised by that. Especially there's a meta line in there, but also it works as well in the story continuity. That is true. I mean, Cooper was seen around town with Audrey Horne, right? So
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's yeah, it's great. I've made some notes.
I think a lot of people are surprised at Annie's character in this film, and I said, well, you know, this is Annie post the Black Lodge. You know, she's a little ticked off.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's still Annie, but she's different. You know, she's like post traumatized, and then there's well, I can't really say anything because it's I don't want to drop any balls here, but yeah, but it's great. Oh, something I wrote down. Do you remember? Oh, you good? When I was writing Talk About Judy 2, and you were still working on this, and we were doing our live chats and stuff, and that's the same time you sent me the script. So I had read the script as well over Christmas break, and that was all the same time we did those live chats, and I read the script and all of that, and that's when I started like, hey man, I don't know if you're going to be able to do all of this. So do you remember I tried to talk you into, oh, okay, coming back. All right. So I'll tell you guys the story.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That you and I started doing live
Yeah,
chats,
right.
and you had sent me the script, and
Right.
my notes here is like, the funny thing is I remember I signed the non-disclosure agreement and read the script, and I was in Washington DC, and we were doing live chats, and it was the same time that we did those live chats, and I was writing Talk About Beauty 2, and basically I was just like, so it's cool that this has all kind of come full circle. Like, I'm finally putting out the video that I was writing back then, and you're finally releasing the movie that you were already a year into making at the time. But ladies and gentlemen, I was concerned that that Cameron was not going to be able to pull this. It's not that, like, I didn't know him really. Okay. So it wasn't like any kind of like, I'm doubting his ability. It was just like, dude, this is like, you're talking about making a 2.5 hour movie, and like, this is not going to be easy. And like, maybe, so I tried to talk
it's not 2.5 hours.
It's longer than that. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. It's longer than that. So
now, it was not conceived to be that long.
No. It was originally going to, yeah. So I tried to talk Cameron into, I was like, hey man, like, maybe take the first act or the first half, like, and shape these into episodes, like, because it feels like season 3 in 1992. So make like 1 episode, 2 episodes, like make 1 episode, and if that does okay, then the next episode will come out. So like, kind of like literally make it a continuation of the show. And that was just my idea, because I was like, dude, like, this is so intense, and there's so many actors, and there's so many settings, and there's so many, like, how's this going to work? So in a weird roundabout way, I think it's cool that you're doing 1 act at a time, because it's it kind of satisfies what I
But
wanted,
I could,
because
I
I
couldn't
feel
have,
like I'm watching episodes.
but I couldn't
So
have
like if-
shot it one act at a time. I would never have been able to get the locations again and again and again.
Oh yeah, no, that would have been a nightmare. So what I wanted him to do, I'm glad that didn't work out. But how he's releasing it now kind of satisfies what I want, which is to feel like I get an episode every week or every 2 weeks, or even if you do this once a month for the next few months, like it's great because it feels like I was saying, like we have to keep Twin Peaks going. If we're still going to talk about it and make videos, if anybody's going to care about this show in another 5 years or 10 years, like fans have to keep talking about it. We got to keep making stuff. People have to keep writing books, whatever. And like, so basically what you're doing is you've continued the story. And what's cool is like, even if some people aren't, if someone watches it, it's like, well, I don't agree with this, or like, I love this, but not this, and whatever, like, that's fine. Cause you're adding to the conversation and the mythology. And yeah, in 20 years, someone's going to be like, yeah, but you remember that fan film where this guy did this and this and this, and then like Major Briggs and Annie were talking in the hospital and da 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 da. Like that's how it's going to be.
I
right?
think what works is that miraculously we were able to film in a real hospital.
Oh yeah.
Because if I was just filming this in a garage or something like that, it's not like that kind of fan film. Like we're really in a hospital. You really feel like, when you see Annie with Norma or Major Briggs or Cooper, it's it adds a level of authenticity to it because like you are there. And what's really funny is someone who contacted me the other day and they said, you realize that when Queen of Hearts comes out, it will be the first Twin Peaks, quote unquote Twin Peaks inspired thing entirely in 4K. There's no Twin Peaks in 4K except for episode 8.
Except for episode 8. Yeah.
And even that, it's an upconvert.
Right, because it was it's 2.5K or 2.8 or whatever it is.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, that's not, that was not my intention, but I just wanted to look as good as it could, So
yeah.
I'm really thrilled. I remember that conversation where you're just like, dude, this thing is hardcore. Like, and then you disappeared for a while, and then you came back, and you're like, so what's going on? I said, dude, we're like half done, and you're like, what?
Yeah. I was so happy because for those of you who don't know, so about 2 years ago, there's someone in the chat said, can you share a link to Queen of Hearts? I will put a link in the discussion when this is all over. Let me pull up this screen one more time so you can see it. So basically, dude, just search Annie Blackburn, the YouTube channel, or search Queen of Hearts, a Twin Peaks fan film on YouTube.
Act 1.
Act 1.
And there's gonna be 5 acts.
Yep.
Act 1 is the shortest act. From now on, they're all over 45 minutes each.
Gotcha. So I will put a link in the description when this is all over. I'll put everybody's links in there. So I lost my train of thought, but yeah, no. The ambulance, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of thought. I wrote the dialogue.
We built Glastonbury. We built Glastonbury Grove.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So you've got videos somewhere talking about the hauling around hauling around these white sycamore trees and like hauling them in. And didn't the Parks Department come and try to like shut you down?
Yeah, we know they did shut us down. So we had to find another park. And actually the park we found was much better than the one we were going to use. So it all worked out. And I got to just say, Madison, who plays Annie in the film, is extraordinary. I mean, it takes you about 5 seconds and all of a sudden you feel like you're watching the Heather Graham character all over again.
Yeah. And she co-produced and she's basically the producer. So that's a topic for another video.
Sure.
But Madison Bates that plays Annie, basically Cameron was pretty much at the end of his rope.
I was
trying
done.
to get this with this
I was done.
done, and
So-
she showed up and pretty much saved this whole thing.
So well, here's the thing. So real quick, there were many nights where I was like, every person I'm contacting is not coming through. Like, I would just give them little tasks to help me out with. They weren't helping out. Many nights I sat there and I thought, I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna make a post saying I'm done. Sorry guys, I'm gonna refund the money. Here we go. And you said to me, I'll never forget this. You said to me, whatever you do not, I don't ever want to come on YouTube and see you doing a live video where you've just cracked and you're just reading the script to everybody. It is too good to just toss out like that. And I met Madison. I told her what I needed. She wasn't Annie at first. She was just going to help me produce the film. She said, great, let's do it. I gave her some tasks to do. She immediately did them within like 24 hours. I was like, okay, here's some more, So she really helped me, because at that point I was, working full time, had a kid, wife, I didn't have time. I didn't have the time to get the help. And she came in, she had the time, she helped me get off. So much so that just like at the end, at the beginning of Twin Peaks where it says created by Mark Frost and David Lynch, I actually gave her a credit that said created by Madison Bates and me.
Mm-hmm.
Because without her, this movie probably would not have gotten off the ground, especially in light of the pandemic. Oh no, hell no. So yeah, I needed someone to kind of help me. She came in and helped, and then we lost the actress playing Annie, and she used to Madison would wear her hair up with glasses, and she took her glasses off, put her hair down. It was very much a Superman moment, and it was like, where have you been? You should have been Annie from day one. You know what I mean? And she knocked out. She goes, I know exactly what you want to do with this film. I can do it. I studied acting, and my God, she's incredible in the film. So I just want to say she's great.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and
thank you.
We'll do this again. And so follow Obnoxious and Anonymous for updates, search for Queen of Hearts, Annie Blackburn, and I'll put a link in the chat, or I'll put a link in the description when this is done.
So Act 2 will drop probably next week sometime. I got one effect shot I got left to do. I got to finish. But Madison and I are going to do a Q&A tomorrow live on the channel. So if you guys want to come and after you watch it and ask questions and stuff, go ahead.
Oh, cool. Tomorrow, Thursday?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right,
guys. I'll see you later.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much for inviting me on.
No problem. Happy holidays, bud. All right. Up next, we've got the ladies from the Damn Fine TV podcast, Jasmine and Mel's.
Hi.
Good. I can hear you guys. Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. So everybody who doesn't know, let me pop the screen up real quick. So this is Jasmine and Mel's from Damn Fine TV. And I kind of started hearing their names pop up a while back. And then you guys started, here we go. So this is Damn Fine TV on Apple Podcasts. And so we just did a podcast together. So I've known about them for a while. Then they started listening to their show. Then they started guesting on Talking Backwards, and vice versa. You went on there too. Yeah, you went on there, and then they came on your show. And then so I don't know if the guys want us to talk about what we talked about last week. So all I've been saying is that we just guessed it all together. So is that the three Talking Backwards guys and Jasmine and Mel's and me just recorded something with them that they'll put out later. So we won't talk about it, but wink, wink.
I think that's
appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so like I said, I'm just taking Talking Backwards says we can. Okay. So we talked about Judy, ladies and gentlemen. So it was a big it was me, Damn Fine TV, and Talking Backwards did a big, power discussion on the topic of Judy, which was really fun and awesome.
Yeah, that was a blast.
So I'm just inviting friends on to plug for the holiday season what they're working on. And basically Twin Peaks doesn't exist unless people talk about it and write about it and make fan films and do podcasts. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves and just tell about your Twin Peaks episodes, but you guys also do cover other TV shows and stuff as well. So go for it.
Yeah, well, I've been loving hearing you say that, we have to kind of keep Twin Peaks alive, because sometimes I'm like, is it worth covering this show that's from like 30 years ago and then also from, 4 years ago now? But I think you're so on point with that. Yeah. Well, I mean, Mel's, do you want me to tell the origin story of Damn Fine and then you can hop in on like how we met or something?
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Okay, so like I started Damn Fine TV summer, late fall maybe of 2018, and it was just me talking about TV with like friends that I would make come over to my house and just like talk about TV with me. I think they were just indulging my little fantasy of having a podcast, but I judging by the name, you can tell that I was a Twin Peaks fan before I started the show, and I kind of always wanted to talk about Twin Peaks, but it just sort of never happened. I mean, I didn't even know anybody in real life that even had watched Twin Peaks, let alone loved it enough to talk about it on a show. So the show never really went anywhere until I kind of hooked up with Mel's, and hop in, tell the rest.
Okay. All right. Well, so I met Jasmine online in a YouTube live for Castle Rock. We both enjoyed the show, so we just happened to be at the right place at the right time. And we just started chatting, and then I started listening to Damn Fine TV, and I loved her takes on everything that she was putting out. She asked me to guest for an American Horror Story episode, which we both love very much. I knew about Twin Peaks, but I had not gone down the road yet. It's actually kind of a funny story. So when The Return was getting ready to air, there was so much hype around it. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, this looks like something I'd totally be into. And I watched that first episode and I was like, I feel like I'm missing something. Like, what's going on here? So then I realized that obviously it, is like the third season of a TV show that had already been, in existence. And I had a newborn at the time. I just did not have the capacity to really focus on Twin Peaks like I should have. So fast forward, Jasmine and I were covering a few shows, American Horror Story, Chilling Adventures, and she kept talking to me about Twin Peaks. And I said, you know what? I'm going to dive into it. We didn't really have plans on officially covering Twin Peaks, but I was zooming through it so quickly that
I could not get her to slow down.
Yeah. She was like, wait a minute, pump your brakes. Why don't we incorporate this into the show? And I was like, I am here for it. So thanks to Jasmine, I became a huge fan of Twin Peaks. And as corny as it may sound, it really changed my life, my perspective on a lot of things. I'd never seen anything like this. And I tell you, TV, film, everything has got so much to live up to, because once you go down the road of Twin Peaks, it's like there's no turning back. It's hard to... I haven't actually found anything that I enjoy as much as I do Twin Peaks. So, and then Jasmine and I have been together ever since, I guess, kind of officially the beginning of 2020, but we were just doing random things together at the end of 2019. And we just celebrated 100 episodes. And yeah, it's been a strange and wonderful journey. And I... again, can't get enough of Twin Peaks. I have turned my whole office into a Twin Peak, just everything's Twin Peaks, and everybody is like, well, what has happened to you? And kind of like what Jasmine just said, IRL, in real life, nobody had any interest in Twin Peaks, and it made me very sad. So I was very excited to meet the online community of Twin Peaks, fans and everything, because it has just been amazing. So yeah, that's how I came into Be Damn Fine as well. It's all thanks to Jasmine. And yeah, so that's my backstory as far as potting and Twin Peaks goes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so we have covered Twin Peaks before in 2020, but we did kind of huge chunks of episodes like for season 1 and season 2 because again, I could not get Mel's to slow down, so she was just like already finished with season 1 by the time I was like, "Okay, I think I have a schedule for us." And she's like, "Yeah, you're going to have to fast track that." But then I eventually got her to slow down for the return at least, and we did cover those episodes 2 at a time, but this year there was kind of a lack of TV, and we're like, it's time to revisit Twin Peaks. Let's go one by one. So,
Yeah, that's where I haven't listened to all your episodes, but the ones I have listened to have been like single episodes. And I gotta be honest, like I'm not a podcast person. Like I don't really listen to a whole lot of stuff, really. Like
yeah.
but the reason I like you guys and talking backwards too, like the stuff that I gravitate towards, you guys really do. It sounds you do a really good job. Yeah, I know, of course. But like you got
thank you.
running gags and kind of like I like your little intros. I can tell that you guys like write your like you put some thought into like who am I? What are we going to talk about this episode? What did I get out of it? So basically things that people put time and effort into it. And I can tell that you guys read and watch TV or watch a lot. Like I could, I don't know, very insightful comments, I guess what I could say.
Oh, thank you.
And then,
you.
and then of course, Mel's is like, when we talked about Judy with the guys, you're like, oh yeah, it's like Stephen King and this and this. So Mel's gave this like huge, awesome explanation about how The Return is like The Stand. And I'm so on board with that. And I'm just like, yeah, like, but I'm just saying like as a regular person going out to hear people talk about a TV show or something, like I want people that, read books and can articulate their thoughts and like have actually something to add to the conversation or like social context or, literary criticism or however you want to look at it. It needs to be insightful. And that's what I find with your show, the so far, what I've heard.
Well, thank you. That definitely means a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we don't just want to be, another podcast that's, oh my God, and like this part was really good. And then I really loved this part. And then, oh my God, did you see him? And we can be like that, but we hope we also add, like you're saying, a little bit more insight.
Yeah, totally. And exactly. That's fun and insightful, and it can be deep and heavy, but it flows, and that's what's good about it. And there was something else I was going to ask you guys about. You said American Horror Story. So what other shows have you covered or will you cover? Or you did, we talked about Lovecraft Country a little bit.
Yeah.
Talk about real quick the other shows that you've covered and like, what's your schedule? Do you put out something every week, every 2 weeks?
Yeah, we're on a weekly schedule right now. And we're just doing Twin Peaks stuff right now, except over on our Patreon, we're kind of doing a bunch of different stuff, but just on the regular feed, it's Twin Peaks. But yeah, I mean, fill in the gaps where I forget stuff, Mel's, but we've done Westworld, Lovecraft Country, Haunting of Hill House, well, Haunting of Bly Manor, I guess, The Outsider, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. What am I missing?
Well,
we've done so much more.
We did one that was a real stinker to my disappointment, which was The Stand. The CBS adaptation.
The new one?
Yeah.
Or the old one?
No,
the new one.
They did a new one, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to ask if you saw it, but it sounds like you haven't.
No, I saw the original, the miniseries from the 80s or 90s, early 90s or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was in love with that.
Same.
Like, I thought it was, I mean, granted, I was 12 or 14, but like, or 13, whatever. It was like, I was way into that, way into that. So
I say don't mess with don't mess with a good thing. the casting was great for this adaptation, but and listen, I think I might be a snob when it comes to Stephen King, and I might be a snob, especially when it comes to The Stand, but it just was not good. But we covered it, we powered through it.
I think we had a fun time with it, though.
I think so. Yeah.
That's good.
So,
Maybe I'll just listen to the show about it.
I think you should
Can
do
you
that.
sum it up in a nutshell? Why is it not good? Just like a couple sentences. Like,
I think I think you need more time for such a large novel. 9 hours is just not enough.
Yeah.
but the original miniseries was 6 hours, and I thought it was fine.
Wow.
What,
Yes,
right?
Maybe it's
Wasn't
the
it like 3
adaptive
parts?
choices then. Maybe it's what they chose to focus on.
that's it. That what Jasmine said.
Okay.
And Jasmine, I don't know if you actually watched the one from so I'm a huge fan, obviously, of the original miniseries that they did on it. So I was skeptical, but I had high hopes going into this one. It was the choices that they made in the storyline, changing a couple of things around, which weren't that big of a deal, but also were details that you maybe just wanted to leave true to the novel. I agree. I mean, you've got a 1,300 page book. I mean, obviously we're not looking for, a long span of this, but the adaptation choices in the 9-episode arc left a lot to, if you had not read the source material, you would not understand, and that's where it really bothered me. So
Interesting. I have a similar. Well, we're gonna get back to Twin Peaks, everyone. I promise. But I have a similar take on Dune. I haven't talked to anybody about this publicly yet, but not a big fan of the new movie. I don't know if you've seen the new movie, but Lynch's movie got criticized so bad. Like, well, he just the adaptation was terrible, and it's this vast story, and they did it in 2.5 hours, and I'm like, considering what's come since then, I think he did a solid job.
I agree.
His 2.5 hour Dune is how I would have made that movie in 2.5 hours. So I just watched this new Dune, which is 3 hours long, and it's only half the story. And I didn't get anything out of it. I'm not anything that's harsh. It's fine. People that like Dune, it's fine. I'm not talking trash about it. I'm happy they made it. I'm glad they're making a second one. I love Denis Villeneuve. I love all that. I'm just saying, as a fan of the book and a fan of everything Dune, this one was kind of because I just felt like there's certain things that they really stretched out, and I was like, well, you could have done 15 other things right in there in that half-hour time period. You could have done a bunch of other stuff that would have enhanced the story.
Yeah.
What this is all about. And so again, ladies and gentlemen, why we're talking about The Stand is because it's the constant struggle of good and evil that continues like a cycle, which is kind of what The Return is about in an abstract way.
Totally.
This is what we were talking about the other night. So back to Twin Peaks. What do you guys like about it?
How much time do you have?
I was just about to say
That's too simple. Too simple. Sorry. So that was too straightforward. I meant why do you think that people like you and people like me choose to really get in the weeds with it? Why can you? I mean, I have my thoughts on this, but why do you want to go down the rabbit hole with Twin Peaks, and why don't you do that with other shows, or why can't you do that with other shows? Why is this endless well of all kinds of cool stuff that maybe you can't get in another show?
Well, I think what you just said, an endless well, kind of sums it up in a way. There's never an answer to really anything in Twin Peaks, no matter how much we speculate and theorize and make our Charlie Kelly string board and try to figure things out. I mean, there's just never really a conclusion or an answer. So you can talk about it forever, and you can just sit around a table with friends and have that lively dinner conversation. And I don't know, there's so much beauty in all that mystery, and it just keeps pulling me back in. Also, the return is just so weird, and I love that.
Yeah.
I cannot get enough of just the weirdness in the return.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I love anything that challenges a conventional way of thinking. So if you look at other TV shows, they like to wrap things up in pretty bows. They like to, I guess, fan service. They like to do these types of things. What I really enjoy about Twin Peaks is that you don't get that. And everything can have so many meanings to it. And that's what I enjoy. I enjoy thinking up what I feel like it means, but then listening to what Jasmine thinks, but then listening to your thoughts, anybody else, because everybody's got such a unique perspective on Twin Peaks, but it can be appreciated because it's so ambiguous in a way that you can formulate your own thoughts and theories and paths into it. And that doesn't make it right or wrong, and that's what I love about it. I love something that challenges me mentally. I love something that I get laughs, I get horror, I get suspense, and the weird factor is right on par for me. I love everything about the return for that very fact. Kind of like what Jasmine said earlier, when we had to only do 2 at a time, did the return, I was not happy because I would watch both of them after we would finish recording about the 2 previous ones. And then I would be like, I just want to know what happens next. But just, there's just so much, and it's relatable. Obviously, not the sci-fi parts of it. I mean, I have not been sucked up into the void and visited
Not
aliens
yet.
or anything like. Not yet. But it's so relatable because it feels so real. You have the relationships between certain characters that are not perfect, and they're not, but they're not necessarily bad. I mean, look at Ed and Norma. Like, some people might say it's kind of wrong what they're doing, but then some people might say this is a destined path for them. I just love the complexity of just the storylines, the characters, and how it can be anything you want it to be. And that's what really gets me in my feels about Twin Peaks, and why I could talk about it for literally hours and days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I even think if there was no return, even if there was no Fire Walk with Me, I still think this is a show that would, at least from my perspective, like would still be talked about. So,
I mean, I think
and
it proved that in the 25, however many years between the 2 shows, right? So
yeah, totally. I think, but it's weird because it is still a niche thing, because you both brought this up and I feel the same way. And like, I have a couple of friends that like Twin Peaks, but that's only because like I drag them kicking and screaming to watch it. Right. So it's like, when I grew up, like I was the guy in my town or class or whatever that was into this show. And, so it's kind of weird because like this is pre-internet. The original show is like pre-internet. So it's like it was just like all these like random people in these random pockets. And then maybe the return like became possible because of, I think the original show getting on Netflix, I think that, again, podcasts and all that kind of stuff, kind of kept it alive. And I think it was still lightning in a bottle. Like it was still a miracle. I met Cheryl Lee at a convention a couple years ago, and I don't know why I said it, but we were just talking, and I was like, this is a freaking miracle that this even happened. Like, I mean, I get it that it's popular and critically acclaimed and all of that stuff, but like the fact that the stars aligned or whatever for it to actually come back and like be something again was just like just insane.
Mhm.
So,
For sure.
oh, so what I was going to ask you guys, so you guys are, it looks like you're almost done with season 2, your season 2 recap. So why don't we you want to close out with where you're at right now and what's your plan? And I know you guys have all watched Firewalk with Me in the return, but you're obviously going to cover that again as well. So let's go for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, at this point, we've already finished recording all of our season 2 coverage. We've finished season 2. We've done a recap episode. And so the next thing that we're going to tackle in 2 weeks, I think, or something, will be Firewalk with Me. Our Instagram followers wanted 2 episodes, so they're going to get 2 episodes of Firewalk with Me content. I mean, I think it deserves it. It's,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And then we're going to wait until the new year to start recording for the return. But yeah, I mean, that's basically where we're at. So this week, this Friday, episode 20 will come out, and it's weekly pretty much until the end of the year.
So how are you, Jasmine, how many times have you seen Firewalk? Because Mel's, you told me that you only seen Firewalk with Me once.
Yes.
And the return once.
Yep.
And then what about you, Jasmine? You seen it more than that?
Yeah, I think this is either my 5th or 6th time through the whole thing, but I've seen Firewalk with Me a few more times than that, and then just random episodes here and there more times. But yeah.
Interesting. Because I was just talking to Scott Ryan about his Firewalk with Me book, and it got me thinking.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. What
Pre-order, click.
Yeah. But that's just like Twin Peaks, just like The Return, just like every visit is different and kind of hits you emotionally in different ways and what you get out of it. And when I first saw it, it was like the most I was young, and kind of it was one of my early Lynch experiences, and it just kind of like the whole dream logic, the flow of it all just kind of like melts in my brain. But then I saw it recently, and I was like, this movie's like, it's a pretty like solid movie. Like it's a little weird, but like this is actually like a fairly solid movie. So like sometimes I think it's like the super abstract. Sometimes I think it's like pretty straightforward. Sometimes I think it's all about Laura. Other times all I can think about is Philip Jeffries and the cream corn and all the weird stuff. So
yeah.
Anyway, what do you anticipate your Firewalk with Me rewatch going to be like?
I want to hear from you, Mels, because I've seen it more than you. Yeah.
I'm very excited. So I have it on my playlist on HBO Max. Every day when I pull up to watch something, I'm like, want to click it so bad, but I'm like, wait, you need to do this the right way. My first experience with it was wow, Bob, wow, because this was my first time with Twin Peaks. So like going from the network of season 1 and season 2 and then watching Firewalk with Me, I was like, boobs, drugs, what's going on here? But I loved it. And we also did the missing pieces. And so it was just wonderful. I've been itching. I can't wait to watch it again, because I know that after going through the return, when I rewatch Firewalk with Me, I'm going to probably pick up and put things together. Maybe, I don't know, but that's what I'm looking forward to the most is with this rewatch, is just being like, okay, I remember this when I was watching The Return, but now this makes a little bit more sense, or I can put these 2 pieces together. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. And I'm looking forward to kind of watching it, like we've talked about, kind of at a slower pace. Like I went episode by episode and took in seasons 1 and 2. Now I'm ready to really take in Firewalk with Me. And there's so many parts that I can't wait to watch again. Jacques Renault being one of them. So
it'll be so good to see him again. Yeah.
I can't wait. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to a rewatch after completing The Return and the whole series for Twin Peaks.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
can't wait to watch it again. It's been about a year, I guess, since we last covered it, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so weird hearing you say like sometimes it's so abstract, sometimes it's really straightforward. Because I think like there's parts of it that are super abstract, and then there's parts of it that are just really linear and kind of straightforward. So it's all like a mix of it within the
Yeah.
film as well.
Yeah. And it might be kind of like so when it was the first Twin Peaks I ever saw.
Yeah, that's wild.
So I had no idea like who Laura Palmer was, other than like the flyer from the trailers I would see on TV. Like, this weekend you're gonna find out who killed
Yeah.
Laura Palmer. Like, okay, all right, whatever. So I watched the show, and then it's like, so I'm expecting Kyle MacLachlan, but he's not really in it. And it's Chris Isaac, who I was kind of like a fan of, sort of like his music. I'm like, what is he doing in this movie? You know? And then like, and then Bowie shows up, and like I was starting to get
And
into
you're like-
Bowie at the time, and I'm like, okay, but like, and he's only in it for 90 seconds, like 2 minutes or whatever, and you're just like, what? And then you get into Laura's story, but then it's woven in and out of her dreams and visions too, because she keeps having these visions about the ring. I'm like, what the hell is the ring? And then she keeps having visions about Cooper, and I'm like, was he dead or something? Like, what is he doing? Like, where's he doing in this curtained room? Like, wasn't he
Curtain room.
isn't he supposed to like find her, kill her or something? So I had no idea what's going on. I think some of that like imprinted on me.
For sure.
Just the constant like not knowing what's going on. That's why I still can watch it today, and kind of my brain goes out to where it was when I was a kid, going like, what is this? What's really going on here? Like, what time is this? Is this the future? Ironically, is this the future? Is this the past? Like, what's going on? So
Yeah.
I love it. It's great. So
You probably had such an opposite experience of people where like they went into Fire Walk with me being like, okay, where's Cooper? And all they
Right.
got was Laura. And then you went back and you're like, well, where's Laura? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. It was weird. But it was a big influence on like me artistically, I guess.
Mhm.
Like, just David Lynch for sure, and David Bowie, ironically, in the same movie. Just inspiring. Just like you can go anywhere. Like, mentally, you can go anywhere. Musically, you can go anywhere. So I'm excited to hear you guys' take on it. But you're doing a season 2 recap, right?
yes. Yeah. We
Okay.
already recorded that one. We read your thoughts. They were very insightful.
Yes.
Okay.
We had a lot of fun with those.
We really
I
did.
s-
Yeah.
I saw that on Instagram. They put out a post on Instagram and said, "Hey, we're going to do a season 2 recap, and what are your thoughts on it?" So I wrote them that might have been the first time I actually like talked to you guys, because that was before we recorded that podcast. I was like, here's what I think of season 2.
Yeah.
God damn it. Just kidding. So, but anyway, any other thoughts? Thanks so much for being on. I really appreciate it. Again, maybe I'll do more live streams. I don't know how good I am at this, but maybe we'll do some more stuff, have some more guests, and just what people are doing, and how things are going. And I really appreciate you guys coming on. Looking forward to your new episodes. You got any final thoughts?
Just want to say thank you for having us. I mean, I was watching the whole thing. It was great. I think you should definitely do more. They
agree.
were some tough acts to follow. So
Yeah.
thank you to the 2 previous guests. But yeah, no, this was such an honor. And hopefully we can get you on our show at some point in the return. So
Cool. Oh yeah, I love talking about the return. It's
Awesome.
my
we
favorite.
know, we've noticed.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna say goodbye to you guys, and I'm gonna wrap this up. And
Yeah, thanks again.
Thanks again for coming on. Appreciate it. I'll
Thanks
see you
for
guys
having
soon.
us. Okay,
Yeah, no
bye-bye.
problem.
Yeah.
Take care. All right. Okay, guys, that's pretty much it. I had a few guests on tonight. We had a good time. Read Supernatural Studies on Twin Peaks, buy the Murder at Teal's Pond book, which is about the murder that inspired the Laura Palmer story, and join my Patreon at patreon.com/takethering430 for a chance to win a print by Matt Smith. And happy holidays, everybody. Take care of yourself, and we'll do this again soon. I appreciate it.